Today, we're talking about one of the biggest mistakes businesses make in advertising. They build strategy before they even understand the market. In other words, they skip the research. And when you skip research, you're not creating strategy. You're just guessing. Strong branding and strong media buying don't start with options. They start with information. Research first. Always, always, always. A lot of businesses will jump straight into tactics. Let's run social media. Let's buy billboards. Let's get influencers. Let's do streaming. Let's buy podcasts. But before you spend $1, you need to understand who you're trying to reach and how they actually behave. Because good strategy is built from insight, not assumptions. Research tells you things that your gut cannot. It tells you who your customer really is, what media they consume, what competitors are doing, where there are opportunities in the market, and sometimes, most importantly, it tells you what not to spend your money on. One of the biggest myths in advertising is if I like it, customers like it. That is the most dangerous thinking of all, because you're not always your target audience. Research removes the emotion from decision making and replaces opinion with direction. And research today comes from so many places: ratings data, competitor spend reports, audience profiles, then you have digital analytics, consumer behavior studies, sales trends, geographic data, search behavior, and of course, the most important, what are your competitors doing? The smartest advertisers use all of it together because every piece helps tell the story. Now let's talk about what happens when businesses skip the research. Well, it's plain old fact. They waste money, and a lot of it. They buy media that doesn't align with the customer. They chase trendy platforms their audience barely uses. They copy competitors without understanding why competitors are making those decisions. And then they wonder why the campaign didn't work. And of course, your advertising agency will always get blamed. Research creates confidence. Because when you understand the market, your strategy becomes intentional, not reactive. Be the leader in the market. Now let me give you a real-world example of how research shapes a media buy. Let's say you have a dealership that wants to increase sales of a large SUV. Well, without research, they may immediately assume, let's target younger buyers on social media. Sounds logical, right? But after reviewing the actual research, you come to discover something different. The core buyers are families in suburban zip codes. They're heavy local news viewers. They stream sports content, and they actually listen to radio during long commutes in the car. And safety and reliability rank higher than price. Now, the strategy changes completely. Instead of random social media ads, the campaign now focuses on morning and evening local news, streaming sports, traffic sponsorships maybe, and then the digital video will target suburban family audiences, messaging around safety, comfort, reliability, and of course, trust. There's a smarter media strategy because it's built from real audience behavior, not assumptions and not what the owner likes. Research also helps identify opportunity gaps. Sometimes competitors dominate one platform, but completely ignore another. That's where strategy becomes powerful. Maybe competitors own paid search, but nobody owns local news sponsorships. Maybe everybody floods social media, but nobody is visible during morning drive radio. Research helps you find openings in the market instead of just following the crowd. And here's another important truth. Research should never stop. Markets change, consumers change, media habits change. The smartest advertisers are constantly learning, constantly studying, constantly adjusting, because strategy is not static. It evolves. The businesses that consistently grow are usually the businesses that pay attention. They understand their audience deeply. They know the market, they study competitors, and because of that, their media feels smarter, more focused, more effective. So before your next campaign, before your next media buy, before your next branding decision, pause and ask, what does the research actually tell us? Because strong strategy doesn't start with options. It starts with understanding. Remember, research first, because when you're understanding the market, you stop guessing. This is Holly Andrews, and you start building smarter branding, smarter media strategy, and better long-term results. This is Holly Andrews. Remember, always stay true to your brand. Now be sure you subscribe to my channel for more stories and strategies behind the media buy.